Should I start all over?
Yep.
Okay.
Take two.
Take two. I was muted. Hey, hey. All right, we're going to start all over again. God bless you. Center for Spiritual Living, Palm Desert. It's good to see you. I trust you can all hear me now. We're rocking and rolling. Okay, so a blessed Memorial Day to each of you. If you've had someone in the service who's lost their life, my heart is with you today. My grandfather served in World War II. I have a lot of friends who have served and lost loved ones as well. So my heart is with you as we honor our veterans and those that have lost their lives in service to our country today. So God bless you. So this thing called You, this is the second installment. Last Monday was the first installment. And so we're going to do installment 2 today and then installment 3 on Friday. And so all of the material today is taken from chapter 2 in this thing called You. And I've outlined the page numbers. You'll see as we go through the slide, I've highlighted the page numbers that I took each of the quotes of the material from. So once we're done with this lesson today, I encourage you to go, if you have the book, this thing called You, go read chapter 2, read the whole book, really. I mean, it's just nurturing for the soul. Excuse me. But go read chapter 2 and you can see the other information that surrounds the particular items that I chose here. So depending on the platform that you're joining from, if you're on YouTube, welcome. If you're on Zoom and you have any questions, you want to weigh in, Jeff Harrison and the Swing Point Media Producers booth will help field the inquiries. And also you can weigh in, if you're in through Zoom, you can also weigh in verbally if you have a question. And I certainly do encourage interaction questions. So I just ask you to make sure that you're muted until you're ready to ask your question or make your comment, and then unmute yourself, do it, and then mute yourself again so that we keep it clean. Rock and roll. So here we go. We're going to start with the first slide. Here we go. So from page 6, the world has reached a dramatic climax in its history. It has unlocked so much of the physical resources of the universe that unless this enormous power is used constructively, it can well destroy it, it meaning the world, it meaning ourselves. And I think you can relate to this. I think we have, I mean, as far as technology and all of the physical resources that we have access, splitting the atom, you know, I mean, again, Ernest Holmes was writing this back in the early to mid parts of the 20th century. So a lot of exciting developments were happening in science at that particular time. But there's so much about intention that comes along with everything that has to do with spiritual principle. And so what is the intention? Atomic power used with a good intent can be used to create power, to generate power. It can also be used destructively, as we've seen happen at, the conclusion of World War II. And so, this whole idea of what's it called? Mutually assured destruction, right? That if enough people have the nukes, then, why would anybody ever want to do anything? I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but just to kind of paint the picture, if there's an assurance that we could destroy each other, why would we want to start doing anything in the first place? Well, we've seen that sometimes when we're not in our right mind, even in our personal lives, it can lead to destructive behaviors. And we've unlocked so much now about how the mind works and the power of intention and things like that, that what Ernest Holmes is encouraging us to do, what I'm encouraging us to do today as well, is to use the power that we do have, the physical resources that we do have, the physical resources of the universe, to use it constructively. Now that we've also unlocked and continue to unlock how spiritual law works, universal laws work, that we can use those constructively. Again, it has to do with intent. So ask yourself today, what is your intention for today? What is with the resources that you have, with what your understanding is about spiritual law, with what your understanding is about spiritual principle and how the universe works, in the same way that we have an understanding of how gravity works. Do you want to use it constructively or destructively? Do you want to use the law of mind? That is, whatever you set an intention and put your attention on will end up demonstrating and manifesting. What do you intend for today? And here's a prayer here to help us with that as well. So I invite you to really consider that. What is your intent for today? And how will you use spiritual law, that is your life, constructively today to create a better world for yourself and a better world for those around you, whatever interactions you have with people? So here's the prayer that Ernest Holmes says to help us kind of embolden this idea. There is no judgment. Well, let me be clear. This is the prayer that I chose to pair with this idea from the book, This Thing Called You. In the words of Ernest Holmes, there is no judgment, no condemnation, no criticism. I know that any belief in a power that damns, or a hell that waits, or any devil or evil is false. Every such belief is eradicated. Any effect of any such belief is wiped out. There is no damnation, no judgment coming in or passing through me. There is justice, knowledge, right government, divine guidance without judgment. This does not mean that I accept lies or think that mistakes are as good as right action. It merely means that divine intelligence operates through me without confusion, calmly, forward moving, progressive, upward spiraling, outward reaching. I am guided by infinite wisdom into that light which is eternal. My soul is jubilant. Amen. All right, moving on. So we ask, and this is a question that gets asked all the time, why would an almighty power permit such possible disaster? The possibility of destruction. The creative genius of the universe has placed prerogative in the mind of humanity, giving it volition and choice. If there is a possibility of choice, there must be a possibility of more than one thing to choose. I'll read it again. The creative genius of the universe has placed prerogative in the mind of you, giving you volition and choice. If there is a possibility of choice, there must be a possibility of more than one thing to choose. The word that I use for this is freedom. If we didn't have the possibility to make a choice, we wouldn't be free. We would simply be robots. We would be mechanical. We wouldn't have the possibility to think for ourselves, to actually assess life, create distinction, and then move in the direction that our heart is moved to go. Or after making discernment about options and things like that, we can choose what direction we want to head. Now, this is freedom. This is beautiful. And also along with it comes responsibility. Because when we have choice, we can't be a victim. When we have choice, we're free. And so part of the lesson today is to embrace that freedom, to embrace the idea that you can choose something constructive. You can choose something destructive. Now, when I go back and look at my life, I've made both choices. There have been times when I've chosen the destructive path that hasn't served me at all. I've learned lessons from those times. There have been times when I've chosen the constructive path. I've learned lessons from those times. There's always information to be gathered in the laboratory of our lives, and then make assessments and then choose which direction we want to walk. The important thing to understand here that Ernest Holmes again is highlighting is we have choice. There must be a possibility of more than one thing to choose if we have choice. There's a scene from The Matrix, for those of you that have seen The Matrix, at the very end of the third movie, the very end, after Neo and the Smith are at the very end of their final battle, the big battle between the good and evil, between the hero and the villain, where Smith says to Neo, why do you persist? Why do you keep attempting to get free? Why do you continue to want to destroy the Matrix and get free and destroy me and these types of things? And he quite simply says, because I choose to. And that's a simple, profound lesson right there. Simply choosing to. We're going to take a time out just one moment here. Nobody's seeing the slides. We're going to get the slides going. There's Jeff Harrison again, Swing Point Media. Just one moment, gang. We're working on the technical stuff here. Appreciate your patience. We're working on it. There? Okay. All right, can we see the slides? David, will you just give me a thumbs up if you can see the slides? David, back. Thank you, sir. All right, awesome. Here we go. We're going to keep on moving. All right. Let's get my show back up and going here. There we go. Okay, we're all good. Okay, so this was the first slide. And again, Jeff, we'll make sure that Jeff has these slides up on the website and can make them available. So you can go and download these or upload these if you want to and study them as well in your own time. Okay. So this is the slide we're working on right now. So back to the idea of choice. So so quite simply, again, I think I was talking about the Matrix. He said, because I choose to live the life that I'm living. And so that's important, gang, that we are aware. And even back to this slide here, that we can choose how we use spiritual law and principle and the physical resources of the universe. We have choice. With this comes tremendous freedom. So again, I ask you today, what life will you choose? What are you interested in choosing today, consciously, intentionally? The constructive path, the destructive path, the constructive path of life-giving thought and idea, the destructive path of self-doubt, self-criticism, and all the ways that we can break ourselves down. You know, I like to think of it with my daughter, 6, almost 7, next month. What kind of talk do I want to share with her? You know, what kind of self-talk do I want her to have as she's learning to critically think and discern and explore her life? You know, and I know I have an influence on that. So I want to talk with her in words that are loving and affirmative and caring and compassionate and empathic and these types of things, not with the criticism and the harsh judgments and those voices that I can think back to some of the things I heard when I was a kid from various sources that are just criticism, that we live with. And I don't want any of us to live with those things. And I want us to understand that we can choose today life-giving thought, life-giving idea, that I am at the center of the universe right here, that all the power and the good of God is in me right now, alive as me, and to choose my day based as that, to choose to be loving, compassionate, caring, first with self, and then there's a natural outpouring of that happens with others in our community. And here's a prayer to support that. I know that the divine spirit is operating through me now. I know that I am not limited by anything that has happened or by anything that is now happening. I am entering into an entirely new set of conditions and circumstances. That which has no limit is flowing through my consciousness into action. That which has no limit is flowing through my consciousness into action. I am guided by the same intelligence and inspired by the same imagination, which scatters the moonbeams across the waves and holds the forces of nature in its grasp. How powerful is that imagery? I am guided today. Say it with me right now. I am guided by the same intelligence and inspired by the same imagination, which scatters the moonbeams across the waves and holds the forces of nature in its grasp. That's you. Isn't that beautiful? Amen. I'm going to pause there just for a moment, take a swig of water, and see if anybody has any questions or comments. All right, here we go. Slide 3. You are a living being by virtue of the fact that through some process, which no person knows, needs to know, or can know, get that, no person knows, needs to know, or can know, life is incarnated in you, operating through you in this moment. This is the gift of life. Consider this. You are a living being by virtue of the fact that through some process which no person knows, needs to know, or can know, life is incarnated in you, operating through you in this moment. This is the gift of life. I believe it's Eric Butterworth that says, I'm not sure, somebody, I think it's him, said, life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift to God. Life is God's gift to you. What you do with it is your gift to God. Now, I know some people that, and I've gone through these times too, very challenging, where I sometimes just rather wouldn't like life. It's tough to be alive. It's tough adulting. It's tough. It's sometimes it's tough to make choices and have the freedom that we have. But again, we're talking about wiring ourselves, programming ourselves to see life affirmatively, to see life constructively, to see life as a gift, the gift of life that's been given you. What will we do with it? There's so much wonderful natural beauty around. There's so much goodness around. If we have eyes to see and ears to hear, I love it. It's, biblically it says, God, renew my mind, renew me from within. Help me see anew. Help me have eyes to see the good. Help me have ears to only hear the beauty. Help me have hands that can touch life's goodness, a nose that can smell life's beauty, the rose. More lately, I'm stopping to smell flowers and roses. I love it. I love that I'm noticing to do that. I love that there's something within me now more than ever that's saying, take time to really, as cliche and silly as it sounds, stop and smell that rose. The fragrance of it. Oh my goodness. It makes me think of a time when I was up at the mission in Santa Barbara. There's a massive rose garden up there. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about, at the mission in Santa Barbara. And the most beautiful rose I ever smelled was there. It was called a Barbra Streisand, who, by the way, is one of my favorite vocalists of all time. The Barbra Streisand, I can smell it. I can smell it right now. I swear to you, I can smell it when I take an inhale through my nose. The most beautiful rose I ever smelled. That's what I'm talking about, like that memory. And the thing about memories, whether we call them good or bad, is that we can bring them into the now, that we can bring them into right now. I love having the memory of smelling that rose. What I'm seeking to do is unremember all the stuff that, the harm and the criticisms and the doubt and all that stuff that all of us have lived with and lived through and that have kind of taken on. We want to continue through the words of Ernest Holmes, through these prayers, continue to shift our awakening, shift our intention to the good life, the beautiful life, the life that's filled with compassion and good and all these words that I keep using over and over again. But those are the words. They're the ones that evoke, that are evocative that evoke a life of pure intention, of goodness, of compassion, of service, of prayer, of kindness, of power, of freedom. So here's a prayer that supports this idea. Knowing that the loving presence is always closer to me than my very breath, I have nothing to fear. In this life, knowing that the loving presence is closer to me than my breath, that can only mean it is you, because breath is the foundation, it's the fundamental to life itself. Knowing that the loving presence is always closer to me than my very breath, I have nothing to fear. I feel this loving protection around me. I know that the song of joy, of love, and of peace is forever chanting its hymn of praise and beauty at the center of my being. Therefore, I tune out of my mind all unhappy and negative ideas. I turn the dial of my thought into the sunshine of life, into brightness and laughter, into the joyous presence of radiant spirit. I lay aside all anxiety, all striving, and let the law of divine love operate through me into my affairs. Joyfully, I anticipate greater abundance, more success, and a deeper peace. Joy wells up within my mind, and life sings its song of ecstasy in my heart. Amen. All right, here we go. This is slide 4 out of 8. You are like everyone else. I love this imagery. An infant crying in the night, something trying to be made whole, something with a deep yearning for security, a deep and unspeakable longing for love, for protection, and for peace. Consider that if you've been around a child, a baby, a newborn. I'm, fairly close to that stage, and 6 years ago. Or for those of you that have kids or that have, grandparents, anybody you've been around a baby is crying. That what do they want? They want to feel safe. They want food. They want security. They want nurturing. How's this different from our life right now? There's the when do people start acting out most, or when you halt? It's halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, I think, is when it's time to just take a deep breath and go, oh, okay, I need some food, or I need a nurturing or a hug or something. So consider that imagery, an infant crying in the night. We want to be safe and secure and loved and fed and nurtured. And that's you and that's me. And it's not weak. It's not like it's a weakness to be loved, to be needed, to be nurtured, to be held. In the same way that it's not weak that when you're hungry, you want food. It doesn't make you more powerful if you can meet all of your own needs all the time without any need for others to help. One of the things I love that my daughter says all the time is, Daddy, can you help me? Daddy, can you help me? Will you help me? Of course. We need help. We need that community, that nurturing. You, like everyone else, an infant crying in the night, something trying to be made whole, something with a deep yearning for security, a deep and unspeakable longing for love, for protection, and for peace. Can you relate to that? I can really relate to that. That it's just there. It's part of life. It's part of being alive. And here's a prayer to support this idea. That which I seek is seeking me. That which belongs to me will come to me. Since it is my desire that only good, truth, love, wisdom, and power shall go from me, I know this is all that can come back to me. Catch that now. Since it is my desire that only good, and I'll consider this from the infant crying in the night as well. There's no malice in a child, in a crying baby. There's no malintent. There's just a request, really. There's just an ask, feed, nurture, love. It's the same thing this line is saying. Since it is my desire that only good, truth, love, wisdom, and power shall go from me, I know this is all that can come back to me. The kingdom of God, the kingdom of good, the kingdom of love, the kingdom of peace, the kingdom of joy is within and around me. I know that the power of the living Spirit exists at the center of my being. Amen. I'll pause there once again just to see if anybody has any feedback, questions. Anybody want to dive in? Remember to unmute yourself if anybody is trying to make a comment. If not, we're going to press on. All right, here we go. This is great. You may not reach your city of good in a single day, but its image out there in your desert is not a mirage. There was never a counterfeit without a reality back of that. Check that out. Nothing's ever been created. Nothing, you can't possibly imagine an idea for your life without it being possible. You catch that? It is not possible for you to catch a vision for your life with regards to a relationship, family, work, self-expression, financial security, whatever it might be. You can't catch a vision for something without the possibility of achieving it. It's not possible. Simply by the fact that you can conceive of it, there's a possibility for you to manifest it. But you may not reach your city of good in a single day, but its image out there in your desert is not a mirage. There was never a counterfeit without a reality back of it. One by one, without frenzy or impatience, you are going to remove the mental blocks that stand between you and your destiny. What thought has done, thought can undo. What you've done with your thought at this point in your life, you can rethink. That's the beauty of it. Like we talked about before, you can discern, okay, I chose that for a while, doesn't work for me. I'm going to re-choose. I'm going to do something else. What thought has done, thought can undo. The mental patterns laid down in your subconscious throughout the ages can be consciously removed. Now, this is an entire class unto itself. It's probably a few of them. This idea of collective thought, of subconscious, of what's called in science of mind, race consciousness, or the collective thought of humanity, which we do affect each other. You know, they call, if there's an idea out there to be caught, it's called the thoughtmosphere. You know, people have you know, it's like just floating around. So the mental patterns laid down in your subconscious throughout the ages can be consciously removed. Why is that? Because you're waking up, because you're aware that you can choose. You're aware that you do have choice. You're aware that you're free, that you can choose. That's how these subconscious patterns that don't work for you can be consciously removed. Now, I want to go back to this one line here. One by one, without frenzy or impatience. See, this is like rolling up your sleeves in the laboratory in your life and going to work. One by one, without frenzy or impatience, you are going to remove, he says you are going to remove the mental blocks that stand between you and your destiny. Now, when I taught spiritual economics a month or so ago, whenever that was, I shared with you an idea about your destiny and what leads to our destiny. I want to share it with you again. Watch your thought, because thought makes words. Watch your words, because words make actions. Watch your actions, because actions lead to habits. Watch your habits, because habits lead to character. Be mindful of your character, because character leads to your destiny. You are going to remove the mental block that stands between you and your destiny. Rewind that all the way to the beginning. Thought. One by one, you are going to remove the thoughts that stand between you and the glorious vision for your life. One by one, you're going to remove everything that's an impediment that impedes you from progress toward that glorious vision for your life in whatever way, for all of it. Again, for finances, for relationship, for family, for self-expression and creativity, for work, for the health of your body, one by one, all the way back to thought. We can get busy removing those consciously. Why? Because we have, you said it, choice. Letting go of all previous mistakes. I know that today I am free and unhindered. I feel the operation of divine love and universal law in my affairs. I know that everything I am doing is governed by love and controlled through law. I know that everything I am doing is governed by love and controlled through law. Choice. I am conscious that I am one with all people in love, in essence, and in joy. All right, let's keep moving along here. If you knew, as you know that you live, that this barrier, the barriers between you and this, a fulfilled vision for your life, which, by the way, continues to evolve, because we know that once we manifest something, there's always more to explore. But just consider in this context, if you knew, as you know that you live, I'm aware that I'm living right now, you are as well, that this barrier, these barriers were only a thing of thought or belief, the first half of your journey would be accomplished. Again, there's no force opposing you. It's simply the thoughts and the beliefs that we hold, that we entertain, that we house, that we give life to, that we breathe life to. If you knew as you know that you live, that these barriers were only a thing of thought or belief, the first half of your journey would be accomplished. You would know that you have the tools to cut down forests, level mountains, bridge the streams, and cause the desert to bloom. Again, powerful imagery. This barrier is only a thing of thought or belief that you choose. We choose what we give life to. We choose to keep ourselves in certain patterns. We choose to keep ourselves living in certain ways. We can choose anew. We can choose again. Whatever, remember what Ernest Holmes said a couple of slides back, whatever thought has done, thought can undo and then do again and then re-choose. You would know, you do know now, I declare from this moment forward, that you choose your thoughts and beliefs about life. An idea may have been implanted there a long time ago by a parent or a teacher or some influential person in your life. But now you have the authority of life, your life. You are the authority of your life. I'm the authority of my life. You choose today your thoughts and beliefs. You will then know that you have the tools to cut down forests, level the mountains, bridge the streams, cause the desert to bloom. So whatever barriers you think exist between you and a fulfilled idea of your good, again, in whatever area of your life, whatever barriers exist between where you stand or sit today and an idea that you have for your life, a vision, prosperity, relationships, love, expression, work, et cetera, you can dismantle all of that. You have the tools to cut down the forest that you can't see through, to level the mountain that you think you can't get over. Remember, for those of you that were in spiritual economics, remember when Napoleon was talking about going to invade Russia, he said, there are no Alps. I'm not concerned with the Alps. There are no Alps. We're going. Bridge the streams and cause the desert to bloom. That's the power that you have within you right now, choosing your thought, reworking, rewiring, reprogramming, renovating our lives over and over again, not just today, tomorrow as well, not just this year with a New Year's resolution or, that this is my commitment for this year. It's over and over again. We get to remake ourselves, remold ourselves, what do you do with a hammer and a chisel? What's that called? Jeff, what is that? What do you do with a hammer and a chisel?
Chisel?
A hammer and a chisel. What do you do with a hammer and a chisel? Where's my vocabulary?
You sculpt.
You sculpt. Thank you. All right, there's our comedy relief for the hour, ladies and gentlemen. You sculpt. You can re-sculpt yourself. And that's the beauty of this. Thank you for whoever that was. I appreciate you. So here's a prayer. I expect everything I do to prosper. I enthusiastically expect success. I let good flow into my experience. I am seeing good in every direction that I look. I am looking forward to more good. I am entering into a deeper understanding of life. I am recognizing my union with all people and all events. Pause there just for a moment, see if anybody has any comments or questions. Okay. All right, getting toward the end of the chapter here now. It is done unto you as you believe. Jesus was saying that life not only responds to your belief, it responds after the manner of your believing, as you believe. So it's actually you're demonstrating it as you're believing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe in gravity, and so I can pick up this mouse, which is right here, and then drop it, and gravity works. What are you believing about your life? It is like a mirror reflecting the image of your belief. So you can look at your life and you know what you believe. You look at you look at the outward picture of your life, the car that you drive, where you live, the relationships that you're in, the amount of money that you make or have in your bank account. If you carry debt, none of it's wrong. None of it's right. It's simply what you believe. Are you in healthy relationships? Are you in unhealthy relationships? Do you see beauty? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's how you dress. It's everything. And it's not about being critical of it. Well, it's life-giving criticism. It's, looking at it critically from the standpoint of, does this still match my how I want to live? And then you can backtrack it into, actually, I want to start driving a different car. I want to start having money in my, in a savings account. Well, what do I have to do then? We have to go back inside the laboratory of our life and start to court a new belief. So you look at your life, and again, it's not right or wrong, good or bad. It simply is. What you can look at your life and the conditions of it and how you live and determine what you believe. It's like everybody's a walking billboard. It's been said that way, that everybody's a billboard, that how you live, you presenting yourself to the world. This is what you believe about life. It's indisputable. So again, it's just kind of taking an inventory. What's around me? Where do I live? What kind of things do I enjoy? How do I spend my money, et cetera, et cetera? And then just kind of taking that inventory and looking and going, okay, this is working for me. This isn't working for me. I appreciate this. I don't appreciate this part any longer. And then re-choosing, going back into the lab of your life, back to thought, back to idea, and beginning to court new ideas, beginning to court new thoughts. And then in any courting process, we get to know it. We get to know, when you're dating, you court somebody, you get to know them, you woo them, right? You bring, if you like somebody, check this out. If you really like somebody, I don't care if you don't have a dime in your pocket, you will find a way to get some roses. I know it. You will find a way to get some roses. So if you like an idea, you will find a way to bring roses to that idea. You will find a way to nurture it. You'll find a way to court that idea. But again, and same with the dating process, you got to get over yourself. You got to chop down the forests of fear. You got to bridge the stream of doubt. You got to water the deserts of a self-criticism, so that all that remains is that idea, that belief, that thing that you're striving for. And here's a prayer to support this idea. There is no obstruction to the operation of this pattern. There is no irritation, agitation, or inflammation. I love that. There is no sense of unhappiness or morbidity. There is no confusion in spirit. Therefore, there is no confusion in my mind. There is one divine circulation flowing through me, which is never inhibited, retarded, or congested. This circulation is free, complete, and perfect, automatically eliminating anything that does not belong to pure spirit. This circulation is free, complete, and perfect, automatically eliminating anything that does not belong to pure spirit, the life-giving essence that's alive within you and with me. All right. Here's our last slide for the day, gang. And then I'll just kind of open it up for a minute or two, see if anybody has anything. And then we'll go on with our day. So you wish to use the laws of your being in such a way that cannot bring harm to yourself or others. Therefore, you must be certain that your desire is toward more life for everyone, including yourself. If you follow this rule, you cannot use, that last is supposed to be laws. If you follow this rule, you cannot use the laws wrongly. So consider this when you're considering that urge that's within you to create, that urge that's within you to express, to harness an idea and harvest beauty out of that idea. It must it must not be harmful. It must bring more life. Not that it must not be harmful, but this is how we know we're not using the law wrongly. Because again, we talked about that you can use the laws for destruction. You can use them for harm. But what's filled with more life, what's filled with a greater goodness, what's filled with fulfillment is actually more good for you, more good for others, more blessing. So when we're considering these new ideas, these new purposes, as we're considering sculpting ourselves anew, remaking ourselves daily. Again, as this previous slide said, without, where was it? Without frenzy or impatience, we'll begin to create a life that's more life-giving for all. Now, this is when we start getting into talking about service and being of service to others, giving, sharing. We know that there are plenty of resources on this earth for no one to go hungry. There are plenty of resources on this earth for everyone to be taken care of. It's a reworking as we rework ourselves from within. This is why I say there's no such thing as world peace. There's such thing as individual peace. And then when everybody on the planet has it, the world will be at peace. But we have to take it from this massive idea into something that we can actually work with, which is our own thought and our own belief. Are you at peace with yourself today? Are the choices that you have made and are going to make more life-giving for yourself and for others today? This is how we begin to create a community that works for all. As Centers for Spiritual Living, our vision, a world that works for everyone. Is that possible? It is, but let's bring it from this kind of almost abstract idea to a world that works for you. And when it works for you and it expresses more life and expresses more goodness, it will work for me as well. Because we're not being so selfish. We're not being so self-indulging. We're considering that the desires that we have, the desires that we seek to manifest toward more life for everyone, including yourself. If you follow this, you cannot use the laws wrongly. You will always be in integrity with the spiritual laws of the universe. You'll always be in good stead. And here's a prayer to support that. The law of good is continuously operative in my life. I am always equal to any task set before me. I am confident of my ability to meet every situation. I can solve every problem, overcome every difficulty. Realizing that the Spirit knows no obstruction, I have implicit confidence in its ability to operate through me always and under every situation. I am a free soul. I am completely, positively, and eternally free. I am free from doubt, fear, or unhappiness today and forever. And so that is. So that concludes my presentation for this morning. Gang, I hope it's been of benefit to you. I will pause here again and be silent to see if there's any questions or comments. Does anybody have anything they want to say or share?
Hi, Reverend Charles. This is Dawn. I just
Hi.
wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Great
Thank
class.
You're welcome. Thank you, Don.
Good morning, everybody. It's David.
Good morning.
Good morning. Reverend Charles, I am so happy you're here with us.
Thank you.
And especially at this time, because we get to see you better. We get to see you in a different light. Joe gets a little rest, which I think he has earned and which he needs. And we get you both. So it's all a blessed thing for all of us, in my opinion. Have a great day.
Amen. Thank you, David. I'm over the moon, blessed and grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
Good. We are too.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I will encourage you again to, there's a link where you can share your financial gifts and offerings with the community to continue support support the work that we're up to. we certainly invite you to share profoundly and with and feel good about it. The supporting the center with your financial resources. Also, we've got another beautiful week of things lined up at 10 o'clock every morning. Tomorrow, Dr. Joe and I will be hosting a Q&A. Wednesday, we've got the Sensational Six who are up to their awesomeness. Thursday, I can't remember what's happening on Thursday right now, but it's going to be great. It has to be. It's me and Dr. Joe.
Yep.
It's
Oh,
me.
no, it's concerts or,
Oh, that's right. There's a concert with is it Daniel Nahmod?
no, Melanie Taylor.
Melanie Taylor.
Melanie Taylor and Terry Wallman.
Okay, Melanie Taylor and Terry Wallman on Thursday with Dr. Joe, concert and conversation. And then Friday, I will be back with the final installment of this thing called You. We're going to look at the book a little bit more and some different areas of it. And then, of course, Saturday meditation, then another Sunday service, and on and on and on and on we go. So that's what's happening. God bless you again. My heart is with you on this Memorial Day. Jeff, anything else that I need to say?
I think that's it, sir.
I think we've got it. God bless you. Have a magnificent day, everybody. Peace, love. We're out of here.